I'm not gonna lie, this one's tough to talk about today. Recently in Cairns, North Queensland, there was a home invasion incident. This was a youth crime incident where three teens broke into a home in the middle of the night, and there was a couple in their 30s that was held at knife point and assaulted. It was horrible. Um, this is obviously really uncomfortable to think about, but there's a real possibility that your home or my home could have some of the same security vulnerabilities that these guys might have had. And for your family, my family, this could be a huge problem. So we've got to stop and think about this. As a husband and father, you and I are responsible for protecting our family and keeping them as safe as we possibly can. So today, we're going to look at three practical, real ways that you can prevent this kind of violence from coming into your home. All right, let's discuss. All right, before we dive into this one, there's a couple of notes here that I need to stop and call out. Okay, well, first of all, if you're watching this and you have not got a home security plan for your home, I've done it for you. Okay, please go to homesecurityworkshop.com. There is a one-page cheat sheet that does all your home security on one page. There's even like a 40-minute workshop, which is free, and it walks through the whole thing. So if this is the moment for you and you're like, I need to get this done, www.homesecurityworkshop.com, do it. Okay. Now, also with regards to this one, I need to say we have minimal reporting on this one. The only information that we've got about this story is that there was 3:30 a.m. It was a break-in. We don't have any information on the method of entry or anything like that at this stage of the game with the reporting, and it's been less than a week. Maybe we'll find out later, maybe we won't. Crimes like this, I think, are relatively low probability. It's a low risk, but obviously the consequences are catastrophic. So it's something that is very worth planning against, because to be honest, the same sort of planning that you're going to do for something like this is the same thing that's going to be the same defense or security that you would put in place to prevent sort of more high probability, just unforced entry, breaking out of that sort of thing. So it's all home security. It's all going to help. All right. Also worth mentioning, self-defense options in Australia here are limited. And that's something I'll just briefly touch on later in the video, but take that to account. If you live in the US, you got a lot more options available to you. Okay. Worth mentioning, good home security and planning may avoid a physical confrontation. And I don't have any expertise in how to physically confront someone. However, home security, I've got some experience there. We can speak to that. And that's what this video is about today. I already mentioned this, but as husbands and fathers, we have to think about this topic so that our family doesn't have to, which is also something I'll touch on in a few minutes. But they're just making an assumption that we're going to protect them. So we need to follow through and make good on that responsibility as a husband and father to actually put that protection in place, which is what we're about to talk about. Also wanted to mention, I've never been in any situation even close to this. I can't even imagine it. It's got to be absolutely terrifying. And so because it's, I'm sure, easier said than done, that's why we need to do the planning and put that in place now to sort of prevent this from happening if we all possibly can. And then just pray that if it does happen, that we are well prepared enough for it. The last thing I just want to mention is with regards to fear. Okay. We're not doing this from a place of fear. We're doing this from a place of love for our families, because we're the husband, we're the father. This is our job. We're born for this. We're made for this. We're going to love our family well by just being proactive and being vigilant. This is literally what we're born for. We're given strength for things like this. All right. So it's not from fear. It's just from love. Okay. Now, all that sort of preamble said, let's jump in. I want to talk about these three ways that you can protect your family from this sort of thing happening. The first thing is to secure your doors. Okay. There's a lot that you can do to secure your doors. If you're the homeowner, there are more options because you can put a serious secure screen hinge door, sliding door on there, and that is going to make a massive difference. I've been to homes that have, in both situations, where they've had it and where they have had it. And trust me, you do want to have a good quality secure screen door. Not only that, if you're the renter, like let's say you're the renter, you can't do anything and the screen door that's on there is not the best. just lock it, because I've also been to homes where they've got great quality screen doors that don't stay locked, and I don't understand the point of that. If you're going to put a serious security screen in there, just use the locks. This is not just at nighttime. Crime also happens during the day, so it's just about having good habits and good sort of security hygiene around your house, that doors are just by default locked. And if there's issues with a family member getting locked out outside, put some things in place to address that. It's worth making sure you use the locks that you've got. Another thing that you can do is to reinforce the doors. So this is something, even if you're a renter, you can do, but absolutely if you're a homeowner, on a hinge door in particular, you've got striker plates, face plates, you've got hinge hardware on both sides of that door. By default, that hardware is going to be relatively shallow, let's say. So the screws that hold that in, all you want to do is get same gauge screw, but maybe twice as deep. And as long as you've got enough timber in that door frame to accept it, you want to put longer, deeper screws in those face plates, striker plates, hinges, so that if that door is all that's standing between you and these bad guys, that door is going to hold up a little bit better if they try to kick it in or use force against it. Okay, so reinforce. Another thing to do with the doors is you want to put some detection in place, because if you can't stop them from coming in, like let's say in that situation where you are the renter, let's say it's a sliding door, you can't put the best screen on there, you can't put security film on there like would be ideal. What you can do is you can detect, because if you can detect entry at that door, forced entry, that's going to buy you precious seconds between them appearing at that door and you in bed. If it is, let's say, worst case scenario, it's the middle of the night kind of thing, you need that time to be able to react and have, put your plan in motion, which we'll talk about in a second. But creating that time and that delay there is huge. And best case scenario, if they do force entry and you have some kind of sensor that goes off, they may actually be deterred by the alarm, the sensor itself. Now, if you've got a pretty sophisticated camera system where this is all hooked into the house and it's, or an alarm system, brilliant. Like that's probably best case scenario. But what I want to talk about is bare minimum. And so you can get glass break sensors, you can get contact sensors for relatively cheap. I was looking at one the other day. It's like $40 for a pack of 3 contact sensors, where they're battery operated. They're not hooked into some sophisticated app or hub or anything like that. It's literally just a battery operated device on each door. It literally has an on and off switch. So at the end of the night, that gives you the confidence where you can manually go around to all your windows and doors. You can check that they're locked, and you can flick the little sensor to on. Make that part of your new nightly routine, and you're better off straight away. That's the contact sensor. Glass break sensor, similar price range. You can get a device that will stick on the glass, whether it's a sliding or hinge door, and it'll detect the frequency, the sound of glass breaking, and it'll actually set off, 120 decibel alarm. So that way you can effectively, between those two devices, a hinge door or sliding door, you can cover the entire entry right there. So even if it's not the greatest, most secure door in the world, you'll hopefully at least have an alarm go off if someone tries to force entry in the middle of the night. And then it's going to be up to you to make sure that you're using those locks, using those sensors every single night to protect your family. All right. So that's the doors. The doors are going to be the most likely, what do we kind of call it? Method of entry, I suppose. It's not that they couldn't come through a window, but we've got to basically 80-20 this thing and just strategically put the things up where we can. And by the way, on that note, if you do go through the home security workshop, you will be getting an itemized checklist of every door and window in your entire house that you can go through and methodically make sure that you've got adequate security on each one of these. But today, we're just going to focus on the most likely ones, which is the doorways. Second thing here, so we covered secure your doors. Second thing is have a plan. Now, I've got a bonus for you on this one. I have put together a 1-page cheat sheet. It's basically a checklist. I'll call it the Stop Home Invasion Checklist. It's a 1-page PDF that has bullet points on what you can do, and a lot of these items I'm talking about are on here. But having a plan like that is going to make a huge difference in how it's going to register for your you and your family at home, whether or not we're prepared and ready for something like this to take place. So when you're thinking about a plan, and this is where I'm going to refer to some external resources. Like I'll give you a resource on that checklist. He's a Navy SEAL. There's another one who's ex Green Beret. These guys are the ones that are specialists in violence and how you can defend your family. But just in broad strokes, drawing from guys like them that are the actual experts, it's about consolidating and protecting your family to making sure that they're secure. So depending on the layout of your home, where you and your kids may be, if they're spread out, you've got to plan for that. You got to make a plan so that if entry is detected on one of the doors, you're going to consolidate those kids in a place where you can protect them. I love it. There's a John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society. He talks about how there's no communication with him and his kids when, because they've actually rehearsed this and drilled this so that if they hear that alarm go off in the middle of the night, they all have rehearsed actions they're going to swing into. It could be, someone's going to dial 000 or 911, depending on where you live. Hide under the bed, grab your gear, whatever that may happen to be. Wink, wink in America. But yeah, to have preset actions that you're basically, that alarm goes off, everyone knows exactly what job they need to do. And to be able to rehearse that, that's a really big deal. So I think what you should have is probably a one page where, even if it doesn't need to be anything wild, but just if you sketch out on one page, what is your plan? Like, depending on what room of the house you might be in, of course, plan for the middle of the night attack sort of a thing. But what if it's in the middle of the day and it's in the kitchen and somebody appears at the back door, front door, what have you? You need to think through different scenarios for each room of the house. What if you're in this room? How are you going to respond? What's going to be your go-to move? And those are things that you want to think through beforehand. Okay. Last one in terms of the planning element, which I think is really worthwhile. If your house or your family is set up to be able to create a panic room or a safe room in your house, and the vast majority of families and houses will not, but if your family is in a position where you have the configuration, whether it's like the walk-in closet or something like that, if you can create a panic room with a decent door on it, this could be a total game changer, and it might drop your anxiety levels right down, because you'll then have, if you can detect forced entry in your home, you can make it part of your plan that you guys go straight into the panic room. That'd be amazing. Like, the opportunity to be able to create something like that is huge for your family and for your safety. So again, not all families can do it, not all houses can do it, but it's worth mentioning. Thing number 3, fight like hell. Okay, you better believe if someone's going to come in my house in the middle of the night and try and attack me and my family, they're going to have to deal with me, and they should have to deal with you. Again, I've never been in that situation. I hope that I would react and respond well, but all we can do is plan and prepare and try to put things in place that'll give us the best chance. A couple of these experts to talk about this talk about a tactical nightstand, and I like that idea, where it's having the tools that you need literally right at hand, ready to rock and roll, ready to jump into action if need be. And those things, which you'll see in the checklist, are things like a flashlight. And I'm not just talking about like your phone. That's not going to cut it. You don't want to be fumbling through your iPhone or whatever it is in the middle of the night trying to turn your flashlight on. A real and probably somewhat hefty flashlight would be nice, because if you had to use it, you could use it. All right. So a serious, really bright flashlight, because this could be utilized obviously for looking around your house in the middle of the night to make sure that things are safe, things are intact, but also to blind and stun someone who may be in your house or maybe coming at you. That'll be handy to have as well. Gives you a little bit of an advantage. Obviously phone, and you probably want to bake into your plan for someone to be using a phone to dial 000, 911, or what have you, to get responders on the scene ASAP. An air horn is, I've heard recommended to me by police, that an air horn is an effective tool to have on hand, because obviously it is ridiculously loud and will get a lot of attention straight away. But not only that, it is somewhat effective in stunning somebody who's coming at you. So you can almost use it like a defensive thing, but it's not physically going to, be used against you to injure you. So an air horn. The other thing in that category that I think is fantastic, if you do have it, if your car key fob has got a panic button on it, like a little red panic button, most cars these days have got a little key fob. Some of them have got the panic button. If you have the panic button, and you can have probably your secondary set of car keys bedside, and you can activate your car alarm just literally the press of a button, that is going to attract a whole bunch of attention, which is also going to work in your favor in the situation. And you just want as much noise and as much light, as much attention as you possibly can, which is going to help to deter. And then if it comes to it, you've got to defend yourself, defend your family. You just want to inflict maximum damage. You're not going for, oh, just go away. They're in your house, hopefully not in your room, in the middle of the night. This is a threat you've got to deal with. And so you just keep going until the threat is neutralized. Seriously. The last piece I wanted to call out, and I'm not a law or legal expert, but I do want to point out that there's where it comes to the law and this sort of thing, there are two forms of law. Okay, we've got statutory legislative law, and we've got common law. Hint, hint. You want to find something called maxims of law that talks about common law, principles of common law, which are basically, they stand permanently. And it's above legislative statutory law. So whilst legislation may say one thing or another, you should look at common law on this topic and make your own decision up about what the given laws are that prevail and how you're going to respond in the situation given the law. So I'll leave that with you. Anyway, just to summarize, so first place, you got to deny access or deter it. Okay. You need to have a plan, and you need to be ready to take action, including some of those tools we just talked about. Okay. Now, please click the link here, get the PDF checklist, Stop Home Invasion checklist. All right. It is really easy. It's one page. You can do it. You and your family will be better off. Okay. Also, again, the homesecurityworkshop.com. Get in there, jump on the email list. You'll get that. You can go through the whole thing relatively in depth, or you can just get this PDF checklist and just do the quick version. But do something, okay? Use this situation as an opportunity to love your family, love them well, put things in place that are going to help them to be more safe at home, where they should be safe above everywhere else. Okay. I hope you found this useful. I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up on email, comment on this video, and I will see you in the next one.